Okay, well, welcome everybody. This is great to be back for the third day of our session. Um, so for the opening today, the idea came that I would just like to read to you the qualities that are associated with light consciousness. We talk about how the light end of the spectrum is the goal. That's where we're trying to move personally, but also with our students. And So going all the way back to the very beginning of EFL, this goes back to the psychological chart, which Paramahansa Yogananda put together in 1920, well, actually put it together before that, probably 1917, 18, while he was working with the kids. But he listed about 33 qualities that go with light consciousness. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read them to you. Let's see, except that I need to share my screen, Erin.
Okay, I'll fix that. I don't know how that got undone.
Okay.
Here, hang on.
Oh yeah, and I'm gonna eventually need to.
We'll just give you all the power. How about that?
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Let's see, share screen. There we go. Okay, so this is a graphic presentation of it, but it's the same exact words that were from the 1920 article. So if you want to just sit up straight and close your eyes, or you can read along if you want to, it's up to you. But I'm just going to read these qualities off and just try to feel the energy they have in common. They all come from the same source of this light consciousness. So first one, brahmacharya, self-discipline. Love toward neighbors. Love toward animals. Love for good qualities. Love of bliss and calmness. Love for great men. Practical sympathy for others. Benevolent tendency toward the needy. Truthfulness, spontaneous, i.e. habitual, irrespective of consequences. Dutifulness out of love, out of respect. Reforming spirit. Moral reason, sense of ought. A sense of self-respect. Quiet. Reserved. Tender. Faithful. Obliging. Patient. Forgiving. Acting in accordance with the suggestions of superior minds. Outspoken. Having sense of propriety. Amiable. Simple, frank. Calm or balanced. Having devotional feelings. Contented. Love for mental and physical cleanliness. Modest. Having philanthropic tendency. Impartial. Gratitude toward benefactors. Just sit with that for a moment. Om. Peace. Amen. Okay. So today should be fun. I have several short presentations this morning, and then we'll have our breakout rooms to kind of get back together to talk about the conference and future ideas. So the first couple of sessions are going to be with Trina and Helen. They are longtime teachers in the Portland Living Wisdom School. Helen's been there at least 20 years. Trina's just a few years less than that. And they're going to share some of their insights, the treasures that they've collected over the years. So turn this over to Helen and Trina.
Thank you, Nitai. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. So I want to start off by saying thank you to, I was left with gratitude to benefactors and just for everyone who's come before, laid the pathway and made Education for Life such a reality. It's been inspiring to me. It's been 18 years for me. My children started at the EFL school here in Portland. So then I had the opportunity to work in the preschool class and throughout those years, and just be able to work with Usha and Helen and Barty and Melissa and Matthew and just Rose and, you know, on. And you've all enriched my life, and Nitai and Irene and just Erin, you know, I can go on, and I am so grateful. I wanted to get us started today just by saying, here's a couple of things that that Helen and I, we brainstormed together, and actually we have a really long list of things that we found really helpful in class. And I bet if you did that, you would find the same thing. So here's a few that stood out for us. So routine is something that when I first got started teaching, I thought that, so I was very enthusiastic, and I could use magnetism and I could use enthusiasm to create magnetism. So I would have the kids go along with what we were going to do next by sheer, you know, magnet, like, okay, everyone, this is what we're going to do next, or make it sound fun. I diverted things, and I wasn't in touch with as much, as deeply. I'm exaggerating it for us to be able to feel it. I wasn't as in touch with what was actually there for them, and I wasn't also allowing their energy to help have the classroom flow. I felt like if I had a routine, I had a general routine, but I felt like if I had to go from here to here to here, that then I couldn't do flow learning. I couldn't do, I couldn't be in tune with their energy. See, it's just opposite of what I just said, but that's how I felt. I felt like I couldn't be in tune with their energy and understand where we needed to go, what we needed to do next, if I had a routine that I felt like I had to stick to. At 9 o'clock we do this, at 9:15 we do this. So it's not that kind of routine. What I figured out after the first year of exhaustion, I would come home and be laying on the couch and talking with Usha, who is like very patiently showing me how routine is possible to have in class without losing the ability to be with children and what's happening. I learned that routine is what actually created a sense of confidence. So today, Helen and I are going to just kind of touch on a few things here. And I wanted to give you guys kind of the outline of what we would go over. So we're going to talk about routine. We're going to talk about connecting with the children, who's the conductor of the classroom. We're going to talk about transitions, and we're just going to talk about some other basic things that we've kind of picked up along the way, some gems, if you will. And having that as an outline allows your brain to now know what the structure will be. Our brains like to predict what's going to happen, and so when I can have that prediction for them, then now they have security. Now the children have the ability to just be with what's happening because they know what's going on. And security gives that ability then for their hearts to be open, and now they can actually look around, they can interact with their peers. So routine is more about creating a sense of security for the children in the classroom. And Helen, I wanted to see if you wanted to add to that, just because we had a great conversation about routine.
Yes, I think routines are really your absolute best friend you can have. It just basically eliminates behavior problems, I would say, by 75%. And kids look for patterns, repetitions, they know what's coming next, and that helps us then as an example, when we ring the bell, because transition is another thing where kids can get out of hands and it's sometimes hard to hold them. We ring the bell and then they know, oh, it's time to clean up. And if the shining star, who is the leader that day, they will start doing it because they know that is what comes next. They're all their little helpers. So if you need to help some other child to leave the room because that child had a really bad day, the kids will keep doing a morning circle by themselves while you're gone. And so, yeah, routines are just your absolutely best friends. Lifesaver. Yes.
That's right. Thank you. Okay. Well, the other thing that I thought would be really useful as far as just in talking about routine and talking over to transitions, did everybody bring a stuffy today? Everyone has stuffy? Okay. So I think today we've all had a chance to, perhaps you've had a chance to meditate, perhaps you've had a chance to feel connected just from the beginning of class. Have you ever had a child in class that maybe you're introducing something new and the whole class is you feel that resistance, you feel that stopping. Maybe today you ran into your computer and you clicked on a link and you're just barely here. Maybe that happened for you today, and maybe you didn't have a chance to be present and be open-hearted. So one of the things that I discovered about stuffies is if you'll all take your little stuffy and just snuggle it in somehow and just really get connected with your stuffy for a minute, maybe think of a name for it. I said it because I don't know if it's a he or she. This is Ducky, even though it's my chick, this is Ducky. And when we did virtual teaching, when we were taught over Zoom, all the children had their stuffy and I had a stuffy. And so so just notice for 1 second how you're feeling. What's happening in your body when you're snuggling with your stuffy? Does anyone what's happening? Just throw out some words.
Relaxing.
People can unmute themselves to share too. Feel free.
Comfortable. Very comforting.
Tenderness.
Happy.
Relaxed.
More open-hearted.
Yeah.
Faith. I'm absolutely overjoyed at seeing everyone just snuggling their stuff.
I know. And that's the thing of it. So it actually emits oxytocin in our system. So a stuffy is a tool that can be used anytime, anywhere, even high schoolers, right? Even adults, it's good to have that feeling. And a stuffy is a safe way to be able to get back to open-heartedness. We've had children in the class that maybe they had sensory issues, but they weren't able, maybe they stayed mostly in their intellect. And so we had what would be considered they wouldn't cooperate with, they had a hard time going from one thing to the next thing. And giving them a stuffy gave them the ability to be present to what was happening, to feel safe, and to be able to go along with the routine. This year, I had all of the students, all of the kids would go get a stuffy because I stepped in halfway through the year to teach a new class. They all went to got a stuffy to do our first morning circle. And then we stayed with doing stuffies in our morning circle because it became so much fun. However, it allowed them to put their guard down and have their stuffy be present with them to be able to do it. Made all the difference. So I wanted to encourage everyone to try stuffies. And then one more thing before I turn it over to you, Helen. So do you have a scarf or do you have a blanket handy? So many times we do, for our circle, at the end of our circle, we do a yoga pose. We always children have jobs. And so one of the jobs is the yoga posture of the day, and they get to do that for us. And then that leads us maybe into a few more postures, but we always end our day in child's pose. And if you all have space to stand up right now and to go get into child's pose, take your scarf with you. then get into child's pose and put your scarf over you. And if you don't have space to get up and go do that, put your body into like a comfortable position and then just cover yourself with your scarf. And just take a second, take a big breath, and just experience what is it, how do you feel under that scarf? What is coming up for you? And just think about inside what's happening, the sensations, how it feels. Okay, we can come back, and normally I would, so the children, when we end in child's pose, many times they're still wiggly, someone's having a hard time staying in child's pose. So when we get out the scarf, they love it so much that they will, and these are 4-year-olds, 3-year-olds, that they will flip over, get into child's pose so they can have their scarf on, and it feels safe to them. They can go inside themselves and they can be there. It's very meditative for them. I had a Zoom session this year where my internet went down. We had just gone into child's pose. We just put our scarves on, and I always have them visualize all their cares and all their worries going down into the ground, down into the ground. I had just finished that. My Zoom session stops. And I'm like, oh no, it's 3 weeks in, so I'm a little panicked, trying to get it back connected. Finally come back. It's been 2 minutes. Guess what? The Zoom call for them hadn't ended. They were all still down in child's pose, and they had their scarves over them. So I came back to the call thinking that I'd lost them. And I come in and I said, okay, everyone. And all of a sudden, I was a little frazzled, right? And they all come up out of their scarves and they said, that was so great. That was so peaceful. So just using things like that that emphasize, and I am obviously in the physical years, but every person in our balance, in our learning, I see the physical years as, if you never learn to stand, it's not possible to walk, probably. I'll say probably because I'm in the world of possibilities, but physical years are all about that, I think. So, okay, Helen, I'll turn it over to you.
Oh, thank you, Trina. This is great. Yes, and what Trina was explaining pretty much happened to me as well. I didn't have a real routine, and I spent so much time every day preparing the next session the next day. And by the time the kids were gone, I was exhausted too. So routines is really your very best friend. And then, of course, over the years, you have all little tricks to help you with classroom management. I want to go into transitions, and transitions, what helps is sometimes a little bell to announce what comes next. So usually for cleaning up, we use the bell, and the kids get the wing, and whoever is the shining star that day. And they know how to clean up, and that is really helpful. Sometimes you might need, if you have a difficult class in circle, I do name tags so that certain kids get to sit together. So well thought out seating can be eliminating quite a few problems as well. Of course, well-planned lessons and your own clear understanding of it really is helpful. Although sometimes with your best intent, you have planned everything, nothing can go wrong, and that's usually when it happens. So I went to Michael's, got these really nice, expensive card boards with beautiful colors, cut them just the right side, had 10 kids, put them out on the tables with scissors and glue and papers, like beautifully laid out, and nothing can go wrong. We are just finished the story. And I tell the kids to go to the tables as usual. And that's in the beginning of the year. It's a new project that I'm trying out. I turn around to help someone, and it's a little bit longer than intended. And by the time I turn around, the kids are cutting my nice, expensive cardboard with the beautiful colors and gluing and creating. And I'm just like, where they just cut it, that's where I wanted to fold. I had this beautiful project. And there's two choices, right? Because now you're a little bit frustrated because you spend a lot of time prepping, and here they're cutting and so forth. The good thing is they're having so much fun. So I don't want to be a joy killer, so I'll join. I'm like, whoa, look at that nice cut, thinking that's where I wanted my fold. And you know, you just go with the flow. And then for the next day, really basically it was my fault to have it all set out and not have had clear explanations what's going to happen. So the next day, we go to the table, and that's when I'm giving out the cardboard and the scissors and explain exactly what comes next. So it was my own fault to have done that, so in the end. So well thought out transitions, seeding can help eliminate problems, planned lessons and know how to be flexible is really helpful. And then of course, education for life principles in well-planned lessons is the best. And create a balanced structure between movement and sitting still. Or do individual activities, group activities, and it can be really simple. You know, you paint, and sometimes just you have your own sheet of paper where you paint, or you might want to do a group activity, one big sheet where everybody paints on it. So all these things are helpful. And then of course comes the teacher has to be in charge. And you don't want to be the sage on the stage, you want to be the guide on the side. And still, and again, it's something that I think every young teacher should be able to stay with. A teacher that had a lot of practice just makes all the difference in the world. Some things are just cannot be taught, but when you are in the classroom, you can pick it up. So I think really every young teacher should be in a classroom for a year or more. It does take a while and would make their lives much easier when they're on their own. I don't know at the time, huh? Okay. So the teacher has to be in charge. I do tell the kids, it's not just that you have to come in circle because I want to order you around. It's that I cannot teach if everybody does what they want at all times. So it's that I need everyone here. And when we ring the bell and it's circle time, and there is a person that is still playing, so then, and I know that person, that child very well, and I know there will be a confrontation. So I'm like, hey, Emma, did you hear the bell ring? Yeah. I said, it's time to clean up. Yeah, but I just need to put that on and that and that. I'm like, I understand, that's really hard, but the bell rang, we need to go to circle. Yeah, but I just need to put my head on. I'm like, well, Emma, remember, we need to put it away right now. Otherwise, we lose the privilege to have it for the day. But that's no problem. You get another chance tomorrow. And then, you know, she's listening because she knows that's what's going to happen. But is still not quite willing to part with it. Then in our classroom, which I think is very helpful too, especially for those kids that just can have such a hard time to separate from the toy, we have a safety spot where everybody gets to put their creations there, nobody else gets to touch it. And then later on, they can have it back. So that's very helpful. And another thing that I want to share, and I don't know if other people do that, it's a Montessori thing. I call it stations. And stations for me is a little lifesaver. So it's usually in the end of the day when the kids are getting a little bit more tired to compromise one more time. I'm getting a little bit tired, and it's really the last 50 minutes. When after the art or whatever math we do that day, we have probably another 35 minutes to go before we go home. And station is, I make it really simple. You could set it out, but I let the kids to choose. So they know what they get to choose. So they can choose a toy, a game, they can take out the little sandboxes, they can have the beads. And with station goes silence. So we do not talk. And sometimes the kids need it, but sometimes I really need it. I just need quiet in the classroom. And they are quiet for 20 minutes. You come in here and it's just silence. And you do get to change. So let's say you get tired with the sandbox and you want to play somewhere else. You can get a new toy that nobody's playing with. But you cannot go to a station where the child already has the wanted toy. And the Montessori says that the first 20 minutes you go in maybe that much, and it really helps you settle and focus, and then you come out of it. However, the second time, it's said to be 40 minutes, they come out of it, and then, so it's a little noisy, they talk, and you have to remind them to be quiet, re-emphasizes, and then do it again, and then they go deeper this time in focus. And Montessori has created for kids that are running, that don't have any structures, in Italy, for kids that just can't focus, that never had any routines, that do what they want all day long. So that is really, really helpful. I wanted to share. And I have 1 more minute.
Helen, we might have a question for you if you have time. Yeah.
Sure.
Could you talk a little bit more about transitions? I know you touched on it a little bit in terms of like when you have a student that just, but I really need to, or just as a class, the timing sometimes, there's just, when we're trying to get in academics or different things, or we need to go to this place or do that. Do you have any, or Trina, either of you, any suggestions on tricks, techniques, tools to help transitions be really smooth?
Yeah. After circle, when we just come out of prayer and so forth, and we go into journaling, it's just loud. And I let them, because they have been really concentrated and quiet. So I give them 5 minutes to be loud, run around, and I wait until I have their attention again. And then we have a focus, but it's physical. We do something with our hands. They get to walk around. So I do let that. But transition in the end of the day, Usha, years ago, she said, if you want parents to be on time, you have to be on time, Helen. And so I took this very seriously. So at 1 o'clock, we are ready. And maybe twice a year, I'm 2 minutes late, but I'm really on time. And it does make a difference. And what I do there, I prep earlier after lunch, make sure that all the lunch items are in the lunch box. All the lunch boxes are in the backpack, hung, and toys or whatever, hats, t-shirts that lay around that they may have taken off, is ready to go home. So in the end, I know we don't have to look for it. And then usually a kid will be really frustrated if they can't find a certain item. So that helps. And then we line up, and I have a few games that we play. I don't know, Trina, sorry, I came in late this morning. Did you do the stuffy sorting?
No, we did not. Yeah.
So if we are already lined up, this class was really quick to line up. I sort them by long hair, short hair, backpacks, no backpacks, glasses, no glasses, you get the idea. So I say, Emily and Lauren, you go in this pile, in this group, and I and Trina are in this group, and what is the difference? Maybe in this case, it would be age. And so they get to guess. And by the end of the year, they're getting really good at it. It's something fun for them to do. So, or we play I Spy with my little eye. We learn maybe some numbers. I count one, you're number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I make sure they know their number. 4 goes, sits down, 3 sits down until everybody's down. Then I call number 1 to get back up. Just some little games. And then the routine is we always sing Go With Love. And we have a little snake that the shining star gets to have, like this. And it says goodbye to all the children in the very end. So that's daily, and they love that little snake. And they know the story from Ananda with, I think, Elizabeth, where the snake was found outside on the playground. And the children, instead of running or making noise, just stood really still and sent love to the snake. And the snake came and apparently came greeting every single child. And it went on for quite some while before the snake slithered away and they sang Go With Love. So my kids do know that story, and so that's our little routine in the end of the day.
That's super helpful. Thank you. And just thinking ahead to things like that, like getting all the lunches and everything ready ahead of time so you're not doing it in the moment. Those are easy things to do. And thank you so much to both of you. That was really, I can tell both of you, I know both of you, so I know you have like such a depth of wisdom. We just got a little taste this morning, so thank you for that.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, Helen, it's lovely to see you.
Okay.
Irene, are you ready to share this morning?
I'm going to step in and introduce next people, okay?
Yes, please.
Which happens to be, well, before I get to that, I think one of my enduring memories from this conference is going to be a little picture of Gasper, who's from Slovenia, is about 6'5", 5 inches tall, holding his stuffy. So, anyway, so this next part, change of roles for Erin. She's been kind of mediating, and she's going to step into a presenter role, and then we're going to pull out from the behind the scenes. One of the main people making this conference work has been Irene, and she's been teaching for many years, mostly here at the village. So I'm going to turn it over to her.
All right. So can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So let's start with showing me your sock. And if you don't have it, that's okay. All right. So take it off your foot. All right, there you go. Okay, so let's just put that on the side. Good. So most of my talk today is going to be about this little book, Education for Life book. And it seems to me like I'll read a little piece of it and I'll say, that is a cool idea. And so the part that I read recently was this little paragraph about fantasy. And he talks about the importance of fantasy. And it pretty much just says something like, you know, actually, I'll tell you what it says. This is my imagination pillow, and this is my joy pillow. So what happened is I was getting ready for this class. I was going to make a PowerPoint, and my internet connection wasn't working. So I thought, I'll just make a pillow. I'll put my notes on the pillow, and yeah, it's like a stuffy. Okay, so let's start with imagination, which he talks about fantasy. And he says, imagination should be trained. A well-developed imagination is the spring from which flows creativity of genius. Okay, so you start from this place. And what happens sometimes as teachers is we forget to imagine. You know, imagine this child actually coming to class happy. Imagine me being happy. Imagine me being calm. Imagine all the wonderful things that can happen. And he said a teacher should walk into the classroom and just be excited about like showing up today. It's gonna be great. So I started looking through the book and trying to find other things in the book that were just sort of hidden that had to do with imagination. Okay, the first thing I'm gonna do is have everybody stand up. And I'm gonna stay seated, but why don't you stand up? Okay, so you can stand up if you want, and look. I want you to step in, take one step into a forest, okay? So you're taking a step, suddenly you're in this forest. And this is an exercise he gave for developing imagination. So imagine yourself in a forest. What is the forest like? Are you afraid or happy? Build yourself a home in the forest. What kind of home would you like to build? Is it in the clearing or in the deep woods? Think of the forest animals. Are they your friends? Or are you afraid of anyone or any of them? If so, why? See yourself. Now take another step. See yourself walking along the forest path. Whom do you meet there? Is it an animal or a human? If it's a human being, does that person smile when they see you? Have you done something to make them smile? If not, is there something you can do to make this friend smile? Imagine a pond in the forest. In the middle of the pond, there is a small island. And on that island, there is a marble pedestal. And on that pedestal, there rests a cup. What does the cup look like? Describe it. Think of the cup as containing a wonderful, clear, amber liquid. It's bubbling with energy and happiness. Drink it. Suddenly, look, everything in the forest is becoming cheerful, peaceful, and beautiful. Call to your friends, whoever they may be, a child, a grown-up, or an animal. Ask them to come enjoy this magical drink with you. Now take a walk with them through the magical forest. Okay, have a seat. Okay. Okay. That's a visualization that was in the book. But come on back. He also had another one. And this one, he says that you would have a crystal, some kind of a prism. And he said the teacher might get the children to look into the prism of lights in the crystal and to imagine themselves moving about in a magical world of rainbow hues. The teacher might invent a story, perhaps of a child entering such a world and having wonderful adventures with beings and places of light. Okay. So during this presentation, I'm going to have you start to use the thumbs up, thumbs down, because I'll ask you questions. So the first question I want to ask.
Irene, one sec. Just in case anybody doesn't know what she's talking about, at the bottom of your screen, there is a little smiley face that says reactions. And if you click on that, there's an option to click a thumbs up. So when Irene asks, you can use that.
Okay. So the first question is, how many of you use fantasy or imagination in your classes already? So thumbs up if that's true. Okay. All right. So the next question, and the thumb will disappear on its own time. When it's done, communicate. All right. Okay. So the next question is, how many of you work with children in the feeling years? Okay. All right. Okay. So this part, these things aren't coming from the part of the book that has to do with the feeling year. When he gets into the teenagers and stuff, well, it turns from fantasy to imagination. You're going to learn Spanish, become somebody who lives in a Spanish-speaking country. So you're going to study our Earth, our universe, then become a scientist. And so you have the kids imagine these things. So they open up. Okay, there's a lot of other stuff on my pillow, but I'm not going to take the time to share it all. I am going to share this other part that says, pretty much at the end of chapter 5, he says a final word. And it's so funny because these things, they're just so simple and you sort of forget about it. This one I won't forget about because I'm going to sleep on it. And it says, never underestimate the importance of fun to the overall teaching process. It is often during moments of lightness when the mind is diverted. And that's when the most fundamental lessons can be learned. Okay, we're always trying. So how many of you consciously put fun into your lessons? Okay. All right. Okay. So with that, actually we're gonna do a little breakout, and you're gonna be sent to a room, and you're gonna take your sock. And for some reason, I kept thinking I have to tell them to bring their sock, and I expect you all to walk in the door with your sock. Nice sock. Okay, so then you're going to take your sock into your classroom. You're going to think of some challenging thing, like I'm really challenged when I need to teach the kids how to spell or whatever. One challenge. You're going to meet with 2 other people, and when you go in there, you're going to say, I have, my challenge is spelling. And you're going to use your sock, and you're going to create a lesson plan around this sock that has to do with spelling. And you guys all can brainstorm with each other, and then we'll come back. And probably won't have time to share what we did, but anyway.
How many minutes do you want them in the group, Irene?
Let's just do, there's 3 people.
How many minutes?
Let's do 6 minutes. So it's going to be quick.
Ready?
All right.
I don't think that worked. Hi, Simona. You're not in the car anymore. You look like you're in a stable environment now. Uh-oh. Hold on. It says they're closing the breakout room. Maybe we need to remake the rooms. Okay, I'm going to go back to the main session, make sure they might need my help.
Okay. Well, let's just enjoy it while we're doing it. So think in your mind, what's the challenge?
Nitai, what happened? Do you need me to help you with making the breakout? Because I got
What happened is it just went crazy again. I got some people are 3 in a room, some people are 1 in a room. And I try to close them, and it says it's going to take 20 seconds to close.
Okay. So when it does, do the remake. Remember, you have to remake the room for.
Yeah.
Oh, weird. Okay.
All right.
You got 10 more seconds, Irene.
So start brainstorming.
Irene, since I can't mute myself, I'm stuck on not mute. Maybe you could demonstrate.
Okay. All right. Let's say my challenge is that I can't get people to go on hikes with me. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, and let's say they're teenagers. Oh, looks like
we tried.
Go ahead and disappear whenever you're invited. Disappear.
Let's try. Okay. Hi, Suryani.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. It worked.
Okay. So what's your challenge? And then what are you going to do using this sock to solve that challenge?
Well, since I have never taught before, I just was going to make up that they had a hard time sitting still. Is that?
Okay, great. What are you going to do with your sock?
And then I thought I would probably ask everyone to put their sock on and go find something in the room to pick up that the sock monster would like to eat and then bring it back. So to physically engage and then come back and be focused and share what they want, what their snake wants to eat and why.
Love it. That's great. Me, hi.
Hi. I haven't much understood what to do.
So think of a challenge in your classroom or with your kids or whatever that you've had, like something that you're always like, oh, what do I do? And then like, how could you like creatively use this sock in an imaginative way to solve that problem?
Okay. Thanks. So we just 3 of us?
Yeah, it's just a small group. Yep. We just have a short time. I think they're going to call us back in a couple minutes.
Okay.
So I don't know. Do you have any challenges that come to mind? Maybe we can help you.
Yeah, I have a challenge with the child sticking to a routine.
They like to stick to a routine or they don't like it?
Don't like it.
Don't like it. What kind of, are they, what is their like primary tool of maturity? Are they more like feeling or body or will or intellect?
Feeling.
Oh, well, this is great. Yeah. You can totally use fun and fantasy to engage them. I find that really, like, use a funny voice with your sock. You could pretend like Suryani was doing, you know? Like, it's time to come to the table. Something, like it's funny when you change your voice.
British sock. Oh.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people are going for sock puppet, but I'm wondering, like, how else could you use this? This is interesting. Oh, you could do like what? Yeah, I like that. Yeah, use it as your scarf, like you could costume.
Yeah.
Or a blindfold.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Ah.
Going on a secret mission.
Yes.
You can't know where you're going, so I'm going to blindfold you and I'm going to lead you there, and then you get them to go where you want them to go. I like what.
Yeah, that adds a little bit of fun element as well as a little adventure.
Mm-hmm.
I like the blindfold one.
Like Sundara was saying yesterday, just like even like whispering or making something like a mystery,
yeah.
Oh, I want to know what that is, Whereas if it's like probably like a feeling kid, like routine is like, oh, that's boring. I don't want, I know what to do next. But if you make it like
the same one.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you use a kind of a whisper and then some ghostly voice or something, and then guess where you're going, and then just close your eyes and whatever.
Absolutely.
Into
I love it. It could be, I would probably use it, let's see. I'm trying to think what my challenge is. Maybe sometimes getting them writing is hard. They have wonderful ideas, but they have a hard time like sitting down to write. So it could be like the I don't know, like it could be a magic tool that helps you write. Like if you get the magic sock, that like will make your story like even better, or like it's the sock writing the story, not you. So you put it on if you need help writing. Or it could be I don't know, it could be like a treasure that we found. We could pretend there's something in the sock. I mean, you can use other things, right? Like, so I could put something in the sock. Ooh, that would be fun. And then you have to like feel through the sock, and they could try and get, what it is. And then they could like write a story about what they think it is, right? It's like, and how did it, and why is it in, or you could even say like, you could make up a story where it's not necessarily in a sock, but like it's buried somewhere and nobody knows what it is, and you can only feel it or something just to get them.
Or more like for younger children, maybe if they're allowed to put their hand inside and feel the objects inside, and if they get it something like a feel and then take it out, if you get most of it right, then you're like to the next level.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good for their brains too, to do stuff like that. And kind of do that fine motor input. That's great. Ooh, I like that.
Or it could even be like like lavender flowers, something with smell. You have to smell the sock, and it could be
yes,
contrary to what socks would smell like. I don't know.
I love it. Yeah, because that's like that would immediately awaken enthusiasm if you said like, okay, we're gonna smell the sock. Here's my smelly sock. And you, oh no! But then it actually smelled nice. It would be like, who's gonna be brave enough to smell the sock?
Yeah.
I love it. Oh my goodness, great ideas. I can't wait to hear what other people had. All right, I think we're going back.
Okay.
Yeah.
You see what the sock has to say.
Another sock.
Irene, we came up with so many ideas.
Okay, good.
Great.
All right.
And to go back to the dorm, you could be pretending like you're interviewing one of the students. Why don't you clean up after dinner? Oh, teacher, I'm just lazy. Oh, no, it's not. I got homework to do. Really, I'm gonna get on my phone, but.
Okay. All right. So let's do thumbs up if
everyone's back yet.
Oh.
Got another 15 seconds or so.
Oh. Okay.
We talked about putting things in the sock and making it like a mystery thing.
My screen is sort of stuck. Is anyone else having that problem?
No.
I can't mute myself or do anything else. I'm just,
okay, Matthew.
I'm just stuck.
Oh, maybe they pinned you.
Nope.
Oh.
Matthew,
Nope.
you need
I don't think so. It's It's that rainbow circle thing is twirling around.
Probably go out and come back in, right?
I'll go out and come back in once we're all,
Okay.
Okay.
once we
Yeah,
take a break.
everybody be back by now.
Okay. All right, welcome back. So give me a thumbs up if you figured it out. Give me a thumbs up if you did. Okay, cool. All right, thank you. All right, so that's button. So that's an idea. Just bring a prop, ask the kids to figure it out. Sometimes it works, especially for the older ones. So Erin, so I invited Erin to share a fantasy thing or creative idea that she came up with.
Sure. Irene asked me to share about something I did for math. When I was first starting to teach math to this group, I had second and third grade, and I wasn't very experienced in teaching math, and I immediately found out it was very not fun for me and not fun for my students. And that was all I wanted. I just wanted it to be fun because I don't know, I just felt like it could be more fun. And so I did some research and I found this story from another teacher, and I adapted it a little bit to teach about and work with place value. So it's a story about, I guess I won't tell the whole story because it's a little long, but essentially, I think the first year I taught it, there were fairies and there were gnomes. The fairies like to gather flowers, and the gnomes gathered, I think, mushrooms. And so we just kind of made it this story about they were gathering, and then they had so many that they wanted to take them to the market to share, or the other animals wanted to come and get some, and then they ended up taking them to the market to share. And so, but it was a lot to count and carry, and so they had to get they had to get little backpacks, and in the backpacks you could fit 10, or in the wheelbarrows you could fit 100. So it was using place value, like rather than carrying one at a time. So we did like, you could bundle the flowers into groups of 10, or you could have a basket of flowers with 100 in them, or you could have, and then I'll show a couple pictures too, because I think that you can see it wasn't just a story. I tried to give them something they could actually work with their fingers. So let's see. So I had these little sticks in the classroom. So we pretended those were the flowers, and they had to physically bundle them up. So I just basically gave each group like a huge pile of sticks and like, oh, you guys are the fairies. Like, how many flowers do you guys have? And so they bundled them up into groups of 10, and then, if they had 10 tens, then they had 100. So they could actually see, oh yeah, if you had 10, you put them in the basket, and that was a basket of flowers. So they could see they had 215 here. So I gave them a visual. This is I used those little glass gems as our quote mushrooms, and I had little pieces of fabric and string. And so they were making bundles of mushrooms. So because, you don't want to buy just one mushroom, you want to buy a whole bundle. So they would bundle them up. And so that was super fun. And so they were little mushroom sellers. This is another thing I did for spelling. It was the Michelangelo. So they put their spelling paper under their desk and wrote their spelling words as if they were, in the Sistine Chapel. I cannot tell you how many times they asked me to do this. Like, this was the only spelling. I had all these choices of spelling activities. That's the only one they ever wanted to do. They loved it. This is another one just using math manipulatives. These are 10 rods, and the little squares are ones, and there are also hundreds. And so they could just make any design that they wanted. And then they had to draw the design and then, count up how many it was. But a lot of them came up with these really elaborate stories about what they were building, which was a really fun way to bring in, some of them had little characters. Some of them this one was like a, battle, castle with these are your soldiers and all these different things. So they could just bring their own imagination into it. That's one of the wonderful things is like, we don't have to invent everything. They're always inventing things. So if you just leave space for that, you can just draw on that and grow, build on that. This is another example of had gone on a walk and they just started building a little fairy house in the tree. And I didn't at this point build on it, but there's, like I said, it's just another opportunity. Like, just watch what they're doing and the stories that they're telling each other at recess, even, and see ways you can draw that into your lessons, because this is another thing that I do in the wintertime. There is first year it was an elf. Actually, yeah, first year was a fairy. It was a winter fairy that came to our classroom and delivered a glitter-covered mailbox. It just appeared in our classroom. And every day there would be little notes and things in the mailbox to them. And then this past year it was a kindness elf. He came every day and gave us a kindness mission that we had to accomplish. And so just kind of spreading some holiday cheer and kindness. And so these are some notes that the students wrote back to the elf and the fairy. So they always want to know if it's me, but I never let them know. This is another one we did where they were creating they were creating their own island as a class. So it was a cooperative activity. It was really insightful as a teacher to watch them work together, but they just got so into creating this whole fantasy world island, and each of them had their little area, but then they had some group areas that they were together. And this is some writing that we did. We studied seeds earlier in the year, and we all got to they all discovered they were scientists, and they all discovered their new mystery seed, and they had to draw it first, and then write about what did it need for care, how do you take care of the seed, and then what does it grow. So we had a zombie seed and a cupcake seed and a video game seed and a let's see, what other one grew dragons, and just all. And what do you have to feed it with? Oh, you have to give it lots of sprinkles, or you have to feed it brains if it's a zombie seed. So it drew on their imaginations tremendously, just kind of tying together the science and what's happening in the world, but also bringing in their imagination. We did another one later in the year that was on germs, and they had discovered this new germ, and what did it do, and how do you protect yourself against it, which was interesting because I didn't see the whole COVID thing coming. But this is something that we did in PE, which was our gym teacher, Ben, is so great at drawing on fantasy, and he told us we were on a special mission and we had to carry our teammates to another area. So it was like a cooperation team building exercise, but he built this whole story around it that just immediately got everybody super engaged and excited. So we're lifting them up and carrying them, and that's it.
Thank you so much. Yay. Okay, so today is definitely the feeling day, and I don't think we thought about it that much. So let's take a break